Artsies, welcome to my studio. I want to show you my next painting that I'm going to start. It's behind me. I recently got a tripod because I don't think I'm going to be great at the video editing, but we'll see how my children help me. So, I am a creative and I do many things and many art forms, and I love to paint, and my paintings are very soulful, and so this piece is really special, and I wanted to film stages of it from the very beginning to the end. So let me tell you what this piece is. So this right here, that white, and let me zoom in a little closer so you can see the detail. So this is a black gesso on a canvas that has a frame, and these are two pieces of ash. This one has a crack in it, and I wanted to share about the conceptualizing and this piece that is about to go down. How long do you say? Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. This one's an important one. So I have had this primed canvas since 2015 for about 11 years during a section of my life where my first husband, who then became my divorced first husband, then he dies. And he dies for reasons that I won't get into in this video. They're hard narratives, they're dark, and there's a lot of secrets involved in that. So I lived a form of domestic violence, and yet he was my childhood sweetheart and first husband. So very complicated, very painful for the boys and I. And these ashes are from papers that after his death, I burn that I don't want the kids to find. What do you mean by things you don't want the kids to find? Things he said in court about them that would hurt them. And so the divorce and aspects of my prior life, I put those papers that I no longer needed for records and burned them. I kept things like his autopsy, which revealed a lot, or different parts of the marriage that I wanted the kids to have. It's complicated, okay? Nothing is black and white in life, right? That has a long story. So I, at that time, had these two pieces of ash, and I had primed it on this canvas. And due to the circumstances of not having money, my boys and I lost our home. We went through about 3 rounds of total financial destruction. I have miracles that happen in that and great betrayals that happen in that. So this canvas was a free canvas, actually, with a frame that was given to me that I took apart and primed and then boxed it, and I've carried it with me for 11 years. And I'm telling you some of the story because this painting is going to have, like a lot of paintings, what's called the autobiographical methodology and narrative, meaning my story is going to come out in this painting. I knew at one point I would do this after my life had grown, after it had moved on, which took a long time in some ways, and it certainly did. Not only everything about my life now is so amazing and new, and I could never have conceived. I could never have fathomed what happened in my first marriage in life, nor would I have any thoughts of what would have happened now. So this is literally an After the Ashes themed painting that in it, and I am like that in the sense that there's times I will put in gold, I will put in diamonds, but in this stage right now, there's not going to be another place in time while I talk about the primed. And so because I'm very soulful and my art is very spiritual and the stages have deep meaning to them, I find it interesting that I've carried this painting for a decade. And it took a decade to get from that to here. And so this morning, how my, every artist functions a little differently. Next thought. Creativity and someone's creative process, I love to study. It's fascinating to hear about songwriters, painters, artists, what they do to create. And all creatives have that. So I'm a person that the images, I will start to turn them in my mind. What do I mean by images? I'm in my mind creating paintings of what this is going to become. And I'm also hearing songs, because I'm also a songwriter, like I mentioned, who has not written songs since that section of time in my life where my heart broke. It just literally broke into so many pieces. The songs got buried, it felt like, in some major earthquake of trauma, because that's basically what it was. And so recently, my great hope was that the songs would come out. So I will write songs that go with my artwork. Right? How fun is that? And the songs tell a story. Sometimes it is more symbolic, the things I share and don't share, which will be the case in this. I will take secrets to the grave, yo. About that. Why? Love, that's why. There are things that nobody knows that nobody's ever gonna know, because that's just how I roll with God. There are also things that I want to say about to people. And like I said, the reasons for his death were painful. And I also now, one of the things I do is work in behavioral health. Not only that, really blessed in that field. Of course I am. And so I've walked with people with severe illnesses, disorders, traumas, addictions, and love them. And it's also painful. And in that, there's a beauty that my heart and life couldn't display until now, because I wasn't ready. I'm a deep, deep thinker, and I'm a deep contemplative. And so those are all the things that lent itself. So come what may, it took a decade for Jen's creativity to be able to raise through in a beautiful way to talk about some of these things. So there is going to be a song. There is definitely the images. So right now, the images going through my life in what can come after the ashes, since I'm so often botanically minded, I could see two huge flowers with the ashes in the middle, because what bloomed and opened around, these two pieces are going to have a type of symbolism. I'm not entirely sure yet. Like, I don't remember what piece of paper that was. I just remember when I was burning it and it was smoldering, I was like, grab a piece of the paper. You're going to want this for later. Why? I don't know. But here it is. That's what I did. And so I wanted to film this part of the design process and the artist narrative. And one thing I've found in being an artist is that people get, and for the artsies that are out there, is that sometimes we don't want to share, but that's actually one of the most fascinating parts of it, is why did you do this? What was going on? What was happening? What was coming out of this? Of course, there's a frame that goes with this. Like I said, it's broken because I moved several times, and in this process of life recovery, so Sweet Hunkalicious is gonna repair it and or make me a better one. He's like that, he can do anything. And I'm going to also be, as the artist, leaning into the healing. I say of myself a lot of times, I'm a great hanger-oner, but I'm not a really good letter-goer. And I chuckle because For people who love deeply, that is often the case. So, welcome to my painting. I don't know what I'm going to call it. Welcome to the revealing. It was literally in storage for a decade. Ashes from my prior life of the divorce, bankruptcy, horrible things, burned. The records were no longer needed. It's very far behind me, and yet now I'm going to create something on it, just like my life grew from some of those things. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? I also don't know how long it'll take me, but I don't know also what instrument I'm going to start to write on. For me, the banjo and the piano are the easiest. I play those both poorly, like just enough to songwrite. I'm more gifted vocally than all of my instruments. And then I got my new nickel harpa. So a song has never been written from this yet. I will show you this at a later date. It's called a key fiddle. It is tuned like a violin in fifths, an octave lower, so it's a tenor, not a soprano key fiddle. It has melodic and harmonic strings, so it sounds like 3 instruments at once. We'll film more about that later. I don't know what sound I want to have in regards to growing from the ashes of darkness, destruction, refinement. I became who I was supposed to be, processing all of that pain. I became more refined. It revealed things about me. It revealed things about different people that I care about and who I want to help, because I know what it's like to suffer. I became a chaplain. I became good at case management and social work. I became able to express the processes of the deep and help people by being able to wrap words around so they weren't so alone in their suffering. I know what it's like to overcome impossible circumstances and sorrow where you don't know if you're going to ever be okay. And also take 2 children through that, my 2 boys. So now from this place in my life, I'm a pretty darn happy person. And yet there's a type of, oh, I know the one more thing I want to tell you before I go. Right now I'm in a big type of a transition where I'm wrapping words and things around projects that I'm doing and moving forward. And for example, I'm writing my doctoral dissertation for clinical pastoral counseling, CPE. I have both sides of that in my education. I have CPE as in the 4 units of CPE that chaplains have for the highest, basically, form of clinical chaplaincy you can be in hospitals and government, etc. That's what I do. And then I also have another form of the clinical pastoral, which go hand in hand. They are the same things. When people want to meet with a spiritual person to talk about spiritual things, and they both operate similar in the same way, so I got a double. Sometimes I think about myself, you, Jen, go big or go home and everything you do. And nonetheless, those were the doors that opened, and I value them both. They have different applications. And so I have a 35-person case study dissertation that I'm writing. I came in here to film because I'm procrastinating because I got to go write, but I'll be leaning into that, and I wanted to film this stage. I now have the beauty that came from a very long, very hard road. And what I mean by beauty is not being physically beautiful. I'm 50, that's all sliding downhill, but I mean beauty in your soul, beauty in peace, beauty in being able to help society, beauty in being to help the disastrous things that are happening in our nation where people are colliding and families being ripped apart. I won't speak to any of those things right now, but I might later. But this is my narrative within it. This is my narrative when church didn't work. This is my narrative of slander, difficulty, being left. And I have narratives of miracles within it. The people that showed up for me, whew, let me tell you something. I wished everyone could be as treasured as I was by the people who treasured me. People with power, people with wisdom, people that I did not deserve to come into my life and say, this is just a moment, honey. I see in your life greatness. So if you want to come on that process with me creatively, that's the narrative going into this painting. So I will talk to you soon. I'm going to go get behind the computer, which I call my torture device, but I got the studio cleaned up, and that is going to be my next painting.